In the year 2000, Google was still a young company trying to prove itself. But another search company was already powering some of the biggest websites on the internet. Millions of people used its technology without ever seeing its name. That company was called Inktomi. It had powerful technology, major customers, and years of experience before Google became famous. For a moment, Inktomi looked like it could become the engine behind the entire web. Google was not supposed to be the obvious winner. Inktomi had nearly everything a future search giant should have needed. Then one customer made a decision that changed the race forever. To understand how Inktomi lost the future, we have to return to a time before Google existed. In the mid-1990s, the web was growing faster than almost anyone could organize it. New websites appeared every day, but finding the right one was surprisingly difficult. Search engines existed, but many of them struggled to understand the expanding web. Yahoo began as a directory where humans organized websites into categories. That approach worked when the web was small. But the internet refused to stay small. The number of pages was becoming too large for people to organize by hand. The web needed machines that could crawl, index, and search information automatically. Whoever solved that problem could become one of the most important companies on the internet. At the University of California, Berkeley, two researchers believed they had found a better way. Their names were Eric Brewer and Paul Gauthier. They were studying how large numbers of computers could work together as one system. Instead of relying on one enormous computer, they connected many cheaper machines together. That architecture allowed their system to grow as the web grew. Their experimental search engine was called Inktomi. The unusual name came from a spider character in Native American folklore. The spider was a fitting symbol for a machine designed to crawl across the web. In 1996, the research project became a company. Inktomi was no longer just an experiment inside a university lab. It was entering a race to organize the entire internet. Inktomi made a decision that would define both its rise and its downfall. Instead of becoming a famous website, it would sell search technology to other companies. Inktomi wanted to be the engine under the hood. The strategy seemed brilliant. Major internet companies needed search, and Inktomi could provide it without competing for their users. In 1998, Yahoo selected Inktomi to power its web search results. That was a huge victory. Yahoo was one of the most important gateways to the internet. Inktomi technology also appeared behind other major online services. Microsoft, AOL, and other major companies worked with Inktomi technology and services. Millions of searches could pass through Inktomi while users barely knew the company existed. That invisibility was exactly what Inktomi had planned. It did not need people to visit Inktomi.com. It only needed the biggest websites to keep choosing its technology. Hidden inside that strategy was a weakness that Google would eventually expose. While Inktomi was building its empire, two Stanford students were working on another search idea. Their names were Larry Page and Sergey Brin. They believed links between websites could reveal which pages mattered most. Their system became known as PageRank. Google began returning results that often felt cleaner and more useful. But relevance was only part of Google's advantage. Google controlled the search page that people actually used. Inktomi usually delivered its technology through somebody else's website. Some Inktomi engineers eventually found themselves using Google for their own searches. The company powering search for millions was beginning to lose the people closest to the technology. Then came June 2000. Yahoo was about to reconsider who powered its search engine. For Inktomi, Yahoo was more than just another customer. Yahoo had helped place Inktomi in front of millions of internet users. But on June 26, Yahoo announced that Google would become its default search provider. In a single announcement, Google gained access to an enormous new audience. The company Inktomi had helped serve was now promoting its most dangerous rival. Investors immediately understood how serious the change could become. Inktomi was still powerful, but the direction of search had begun to shift. A company that had built the engine was beginning to lose control of the road. Inktomi's biggest problem was not that its technology suddenly stopped working. Its deeper problem was that it did not own the relationship with the people searching the web. Yahoo owned the user. MSN owned the user. Inktomi only powered what happened behind the screen. If a customer found a better search engine, it could simply switch providers. Yahoo proved exactly how dangerous that dependence could be. Google was building something very different. People were beginning to go directly to Google when they wanted an answer. Each successful search made that habit stronger. Meanwhile, Inktomi expanded beyond web search into other internet infrastructure businesses. The company was trying to become essential to many parts of the internet at once. Google remained far more focused on making search fast, simple, and useful. Inktomi had customers, but Google was building loyal users. Inktomi built the engine, but Google built the destination. At the height of the dot-com boom, investors believed companies like Inktomi represented the future. Inktomi's market value climbed into the tens of billions of dollars. Its stock price seemed to confirm that the company had won a permanent place in the internet economy. But the dot-com boom was built on expectations that could not last forever. In 2000, the bubble began to burst. Technology stocks collapsed across the market. Inktomi was hit at exactly the wrong moment. Its customers were cutting spending while competition in search was becoming stronger. Businesses that had once spent aggressively on internet infrastructure started disappearing. Inktomi responded by cutting jobs and trying to survive. The company that once seemed unstoppable was shrinking quickly. Its market value fell by an extraordinary amount. By late 2002, Inktomi was worth only a fraction of what investors once imagined. Yahoo agreed to buy the company for about $235 million. One of the internet's former giants had become an acquisition. That sounds like the end of the story, but it is not. Yahoo did not buy Inktomi simply to bury its technology. It wanted to strengthen its own ability to search the web. In 2004, Yahoo launched search results based on technology it now controlled. Inktomi's name was fading, but parts of its work were still alive. The deeper legacy was even larger than Yahoo Search. Brewer and Gautier had built Inktomi around large clusters of relatively inexpensive computers. That idea became central to how enormous internet services would later scale. Modern web companies would rely on huge fleets of commodity machines working together. Google itself became famous for building infrastructure with a similar philosophy. Years later, Inktomi co-founder Eric Brewer would even join Google. The company that defeated Inktomi would eventually employ one of the people who helped create it. Inktomi lost the search war, but some of its ideas became part of the world that followed. The company disappeared, but the architecture it helped pioneer did not. In a strange way, the future that defeated Inktomi was also a future Inktomi had helped imagine. Inktomi's story is not simply about a company with bad technology losing to better technology. Inktomi was early, innovative, and powerful. It correctly predicted that the internet would require enormous distributed computing systems. What it misunderstood was where the greatest power in search would eventually come from. The winner would not only organize information. The winner would become the place people instinctively went whenever they needed an answer. Google turned search from a technology into a daily habit. And once that habit belonged to Google, companies hidden behind other websites became easier to replace. Inktomi built an extraordinary engine, but Google became the destination. And that is how one of Google's most important forgotten rivals disappeared while helping build the internet we use today.